What is up? Welcome back. It's JJ. I'm back in the saddle. I'm going to move this out the way. And what I'm working on right now... Oop, my camera just did a little twisty turn thingy. Can't be having that, can we, guys and girls and women and men? And let me get a good set here. This camera is basically doing what it wants to do, so... Alright, so we're going to get the light out of y'all's face, put it in mine. Actually, we'll put it on the project here. So, what I'm doing is this is a 5.56, and it's a friend of mine named Ryan sent it to me. And it had a gate in it. He put the gate in there, or he had someone put the gate in there. The gate instantly shorted out when he plugged it in the first time. And he sent me a new gate. He also sent me a blue link and a whole bunch of hot rod parts. So I've already built it, put it together, and the shimming is a tad bit off. So I'm still kind of in the testing phase right now. But I've got it really close. I'm running a little bit of a screechy noise on the bevel gear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna re-shim the bevel gear and do a shimming video real quick for y'all. So I hope you enjoy, and I'm doing good. Just figured I'd drop this video for y'all. So I'm gonna try to knock it out pretty quick, and we're mainly just gonna do the shimming part, and then I'm gonna finish it off there so it doesn't get into a really long video. But other than that, hang tight. Here we go. Try to do this really fast. Get y'all hooked up. Go ahead and get this one knot free. Make sure y'all can see decent from where you're at. We got that all undone. Put all my parts up here for right now. And I should have an Allen right here for this. For the release. Mag release. I did put he already had a max trigger. I put that in. Put a new piston head. I put a new piston. So this thing will sing whenever I get it complete. I've already shot it. Shoots great. It really doesn't sound too bad. It's just got a little screech to it, and it kind of annoys me. So the screechiness just bugs me. So I'm gonna get the screechy out. And while I got this body off, just thinking about going ahead and marking his gears. One side's already marked. I'll show you. It has timing marks on these gears. Little dots. See if I can show you the little dots. Right. There's one and there's one. And on this gear is 2 dots right there on each side. So you line them up. So you can get the dual selector switches set right without a whole bunch of sticking it together, taking it apart, sticking it together, taking it apart. So here's how we're going to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to do a half shell bevel gear method. This won't take real long. I'll show y'all how to get that bevel gear just right. I basically took it and used the shimming that it had already and put it together just to test it, and it just wasn't right from the factory. So I'm gonna go ahead and re-shim just the bevel gear. I've already shimmed the rest of them. The bevel gear's been shimmed also, but it's just not perfect. Trying to make sure all of them that I do are perfect. I want them to be the best and get the most out of the gear train. And can't use my microphone. I think right at this point I'm going to add in another camera view for you guys. And so I can get y'all some top view footage. And some really good audio. Y'all ready for this? Y'all probably gonna like this audio, so move the light. I don't think the light's even in your way. Testing 1, 2. Here we go. So we're gonna go ahead, make sure we're in frame here. Looks like we are. Okay. So we're going to go inside of the guide rod for the spring guide and hold it down. It's funny, I put super glue on those bearings. That's going to get us where we need. We're going to lift up slowly as we push in, and that'll keep your spring from popping you in the head. Okay, so the bevel gear. This is the only issue that we have, is that bevel gear. And these stupid bearings, I done super glued them once. I guess I'm going to have to add some more super glue, because they did not stick very well. So let's go ahead and pop out the bevel gear. And what we're going to do is check it. It looks like it's not even wearing bad. It's just a little screechy, and that bugs me. So what we're doing is called the half shell, basically. And it could actually be from the motor alignment, which I'll show you in a second what I'm talking about. These, the way that they fit the body sometimes, need to be ground. And this one looks like it fits really well. But you won't really know until you get it actually installed with the actual gearbox shell halves in there, if it fits good or not. So I'm going to go ahead and put this half in and get a screw in it, because this is going to determine how our motor fits to the okay. Let's get that baby in there. It's going to determine how the motor fits to the gearbox shell. The motor to the motor to the bevel gear alignment. It's very critical, because you want to make sure you're using all of your gear and not overusing it and actually making them grind. That's where it gets the screechiness from. So the motor I'm going to have in, you want to put it in the same way you're going to be using it. The negative's going to be this way for me. Let me see if I can get you guys a good pick here. I don't know if you can see this, but this is where we're going to be that's where the motor's going to be sitting. So with the motor all the way in, it looks like this bevel gear may actually be too high. So what I'm going to do is take a shim off of it, because it looks like it has two, and it does. And there's a, looks like a 0.5 and a 0.3. So what we're going to do is take the 0.3. There's the thick one, that's a 0.5. Let me take that. It doesn't want to come off, so go figure. There we go. So we're going to put the thinner of the two back on there. I mean the thicker of the two. Make sure there's no rubbing. Beautiful. Alright, let me get y'all back in here in frame. That's a lot better. So it was rubbing before. That's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. That will get rid of all the whining. Now, what I'm going to do is take the gearbox shell back off. Let me show you what I was checking real quick. I'm sorry, I forgot to show you that. That's the whole purpose here. So, whenever I push the pinion of the motor up into the bevel gear, I want to make sure I'm getting full use of it. So it's in, all the way in, so we have plenty of movement here to adjust it if we need to. And then I want to check and see what kind of play I have here. Does it got a lot of play? Does it have no play? Basically, am I using all of that gear that I can? You don't want to be way up here and you don't want to be way back here. You want to be as much in that range as you can. And you also don't want the gear to be bound up in any way. So that gets the upper half of the bevel gear set where we need it. The bevel gear is usually the gear that's going to give you all your screeching. You're not going to be able to do much with these gears other than up and down. The bevel gear is the only gear you're going to be able to adjust the tension of. These right here, you're only going to be able to adjust height up and down and shimming in the shell. So that's why we're not going to freak out about that too much. And there it is. I lost a bearing. And I am going to tell you, if you can take your bearing shells and put them in and glue them into the housing, it will be to your benefit, because they like to move around a lot. If they move around a bunch, you're not going to be taking full advantage of your bearing. What your bearing is going to actually do is it's going to spin in the housing, and eventually it's going to eat that housing up, guys. So to take full advantage of your bearings, you're going to need to... This glue's not cooperating with me, y'all. Oh, GG, I don't like super glue on my tables. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to make sure we only get it in the shell. We don't want super glue all over everything. You want it on the shell, because you don't want it to get into your bearing, because I guarantee you it'll be the worst bearings you ever had in your life. Bearing number 1 going into the shell. Make sure it seats, because you only get one pop. Unless you end up like me and have some junky super glue. Let's see if we can get bearing number 2 in there. Bearing number 2. I don't really go crazy with it. I just put a little bit on each side. Make sure that they're totally seated. Let that sit for a few. Okay. Now then, everything's still looking good here. Beautiful. We're not even going to mess with that. Now, what we're going to have to check here is the actual shimming height of the bevel gear. Now that I've messed with the other side, I may have to take that slack up on the opposite side of the shell, which is going to affect the height of it, because you don't want it to actually rub the spur gear. This one's not rubbing, but you don't want it to rub the spur gear. If it does, it's going to eat the spur gear up. So go ahead and fire. Pow. Pow. And I'm going to stick this shell on here without the spring in it for now, so I could check this height of this gear. Make sure it's still got some good play to it. Make sure this reverse latch goes where it needs to. Okay. Now you could push on the axle of the bearing. Just make sure you're squeezing the box really tight. You could actually push on the axle. And as you can see, there's still play in it. So we're going to have to put a shim on the lower side. It's no big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a shim. I'm going to pull the bevel gear back out, and I'm going to start with the thinnest of the shims. Okay, so we're set there. And we're going to go ahead and check it. I was going to put it on there without checking it, but you always want to double check your work. Sometimes I get in a hurry, and you can sometimes do it by feel if you do a bunch of them. So I'm not even going to say that I'm perfect, because I do mess up shimming from time to time. And that's why I'm redoing this one, because I did it by feel, and that's a really good shim right there. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Has very little movement, and if you want to slap another shim in there and check it, you can. And if it's too tight, then you take that shim back out. But I'm going to tell you this, with that little bit of movement right there, and me not having any bolts in the gearbox, when I bolt it up, that play is going to be gone almost to nothing, which is going to be perfect. So that should get rid of any kind of whining or grinding that you have. Or heating up of the motor. It's all going to be to do with the bevel gear. So that pretty much is this video. I'm going to stop it here. But it was all just bevel gear setting. And I'll let y'all finish watching me put this gearbox shell together. And y'all can see the rest of this video, because this is going to be a good video here. But y'all can see the rest of it on my YouTube channel, where I'm testing this 556 and shipping it back to the owner. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it, man, on the bevel gear, guys and girls. That's how you get that good shimming. Once I get this tight right here, I'll show you. We'll show you one more time with it, what it looks like with the gearbox shell tight. What you doing, pretty? Sure am lucky to have a pretty wife like you. If I'm a little flathead, I'll do it right there. Oh yeah, the one that's covered in stuff. there you go. There's your shimming at its finest. Let's drop this in. Alright, so that was part 1, and that's the bevel gear shimming. Of course, y'all can see I've shaved since then. Anyhow, look out for part 2. It's going to be the shot test, chronograph, and pack it up, ship it out. Appreciate it, Ryan, for sending me it, let me build it, and let me do it. I know it's taken a couple weeks. Got a bunch of good videos out of it, so I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the extra stuff you sent me. Y'all have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe and like if it was helpful at all. If not, peace. See you on the next one.